So, Lisa, we talked about how this great opportunity came up at Steel Stacks with Ryan. And so that's when this idea came about you were going to do a show. And then it's after that that the podcast came out of that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how that happened and what like how you sorted through the stories and what would be in the show and then some are in the podcast. Just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so like the podcast, I never thought I would be a person with a podcast. Like, as the single most technologically inept person in the entire world, and also as someone who's just like very, and we've talked about this before privately, like aware that there are a million podcasts in the world and there's just nowhere near enough ears to be listening to them. I never thought that I would be like, I'm Lisa and I have a podcast. Like, who am I? Um, but essentially what happened was like I had visited so many groups, and a one woman show can only be so long, and I was so daunted because I knew I couldn't include every group. And so the question was like, how do I wade through all of this and just decide what groups make the cut and like in what capacity? Because, I could talk for hours about any one of those groups. And so the podcast was kind of this like really helpful byproduct where like each episode is about a different group. Some groups get 2 episodes because there's just that much to say, where I could like just kind of be a sloppy storyteller and tell every story, everything that I have to say, every thought that I have to share, every memory about any given group, and just kind of vomit it all out. And not really care about if it's coherent or if it's, good enough to make the cut. And that really, really, really helped in deciding what would make it into the live show. And also just like the solace of like, I have these really precious memories with these groups, and I don't want to feel like I'm like maybe snubbing any of them to not include them. I like it felt sad to me, like, oh, the Christian Scientists aren't gonna have anywhere, they're not gonna have a home. So it's been like a place of solace for me to know that, like, okay, only one of your Mormon stories could make it in, but look, you've got this other place where you got to say them all, and isn't that nice? So it's been a really helpful byproduct, and as they slowly but surely start come crawling out and I re-listen to them, I'm realizing just how helpful that was to get all of that out. So yeah,
So
very crucial part of the creative process.
that's interesting. Now with the podcast, then are they all those are all finished then those episodes, or do you like continue to record those?
So everything that's out now um was recorded well over a year ago.
Okay.
The hope was to record more, but things have gotten in the way of that. I think more will be recorded eventually, but so far there's 2 Mooney episodes, one episode about the peace mission, and one episode about Mormons. The second Mormon one should be coming out soon, and then there's going to be one about the Catholic Church, and then probably 2 about the 12 tribes. And I think that's all we recorded so
Okay.
far, or that we still have access to. But I would love for it to continue to be a thing, because I'm not going to stop visiting these groups anytime soon. So it might be helpful moving forward to have somewhere to dump all of that after I have an experience. So I hope it continues.
No, that would be great. Would you ever consider, I shouldn't say would you ever, because I think you are the type of person that would consider anything because you're curious and open. Like a book maybe, and maybe that could come out of this a little bit more easily because it's kind of already organized and you have
Oh
your stories
yeah,
out there.
absolutely. I had like thought about like, before I knew what the timeline for the live show would be, and probably before the podcast was on the horizon, I thought like maybe I just need to like write a book as I do this, so that, I'm writing these stories out and sifting through them. And then as I do that, I can decide what makes it into the show, and whatever doesn't make it into the show is at least in the first draft of a book. And, then I could like do a rush job and self-publish it and sell it at the show or whatever. But the podcast kind of eliminated the need for something like that, because I was doing that at first, just writing like a full, really lengthy thing about a group. And that would have taken a really long time, but I definitely have not eliminated the prospect of that in the future. Right now, it's like the show is my only thing. Like I don't have the capacity, but that could certainly be a thing in the future. I would love for it to be.
Yeah, I mean, and there's obviously an audience, and you'll see that when you see the people come out, for the
I hope
show.
so. I hope so. Everyone, please buy tickets and invite everyone you've ever met in your life and make a night of it, please.
I've been seeing your posts, and you're really cute. You're like, okay, I don't usually like to do this, but I'm asking you, tell everybody about this show.
Yeah, I'm not a self promotion person, but the cult show has become my entire personality on Facebook because it needs to be at this point. So,
Yes.
doing what I
So
got to do.
yeah, absolutely. So, well, Steel Stacks is a great place anyway. I mean, so people, if I'm sure people in the Lehigh Valley area, you've probably been there for something, whether it's been for a band or something
It's so
artsy.
wonderful.
It's
I'm so
awesome.
blessed to live somewhere that has that kind of huge resource. In the process of doing this, I've spoken to friends who have done like one man and one woman shows, and my biggest takeaway from them and their experiences is that they don't have an arts quest where they live. So they're paying for a venue. No one is paying them to do a show. They have to bring in their own sound person. They have to sell a minimum number of tickets. And if they don't, they have to pay back that balance. And it's a wildly expensive undertaking if you don't have something like Arts Quest um, making it happen for you. Like they have to pay for their own marketing and make that happen, but Arts Quest takes care of that for me. Like I feel so incredibly blessed to live near Arts Quest year round with all of the festivals and concerts and comedy shows and everything. But holy shit, am I grateful to have them in this endeavor. Like,
Yeah.
could not pull it off otherwise. So thank you, Arts Quest.
Shout out to Arts Quest. Absolutely. I would say it's because I've done, gosh, is it 3 years, 4 years? I did a one woman show here in Scranton. So the other thing that you could look out for in your community,
Mhm.
fringe shows.
Yes.
Fringe shows, because I know for myself here in Scranton, I just took part 1 year, but it's awesome. If you're not sure what fringe is, check it out. They do it all over the world. I know Edinburgh is really
Yes.
big in Scotland.
Big one. Yeah.
And it's kinda, like, meant to be alternative stuff, but there's music, there's poetry, there's, all kinds of interesting stuff. Mine was a one-woman show that was kind of mostly humorous,
Mhm.
tales from my life, but, with the Fringe, you do get help because you've got support from they provided me with a tech person, and
Yeah.
I did mostly do my own promotion because they can't, do heavy promotion of everyone, but, you
Yeah.
don't have to worry about paying, and then you do actually walk away with a couple shekels in your pocket, but that's another option. But if you're in the Lehigh Valley, definitely check out Arts Quest at Steel Stacks and everything they've got going on there. And Lisa mentioned comedy, music, all the different festivals. It's fantastic. But most importantly, check out Lisa Joins a Cult, because
Please.
that's what we want you to do. Right?
LisaJoinsTheCult.com.
There we go. See, you're getting good at this self promotion, Lisa.
I'm trying. It's an uphill battle, but I'm trying to show up for every aspect of the creative process with this experience. I'm trying to have a can-do attitude. So
Yeah.
that means promoting it.
And you'll walk away with, whether you've liked it or not, you'll walk away having learned a lot, I'm sure. No doubt.
Yes, and with the satisfaction of knowing that I showed up and did my best. And that's all that anyone can do. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, wise words. So, are you going to be inviting anyone that you visited? Like any of the I mean, I don't know if they live close, if anybody'd even be in driving distance, but will anyone be invited that
a
you
lot
visited?
of them are in driving distance. It is unsettling to know how many of these groups are in Pennsylvania. No, I don't think so. Are there's going to be two girls there one night who were with me at one of the groups. because I tell a story about them and they live in Philadelphia, so they're coming up for it. But that's the
Okay.
closest that I know of anyone involved in any of these stories showing
Okay.
up.
And they know, I mean, obviously, if they're coming, they know, what to expect and what this is about, all that.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah.
All right. Well, I want to thank you so much. I think it's fantastic. I am definitely going to try to make it. I have a friend in Northampton who I will often visit. And when I'm doing, comedy, I've been fortunate to take part in some of the things down there. The Music Fest, I had the opportunity to perform in this past August, which was great. Just being part of a different community and getting, to be in a different location. So I hope to be there. I will definitely
Yeah.
promote it to all my Lehigh Valley peeps. In fact, my friend in Northampton
Thank
is
you.
interested, and her daughters, they were like, as soon as they heard cult, they were like, cult? So they were definitely intrigued.
Yes.
Yes.
Come on out. I would love to see you there, Janine.
Yes, I will. I actually do have it on my calendar. So the only other thing that would come up is if, how this world works with money. If I had to do something that earned
Yes.
money, I would not be there. Otherwise, I want to be there.
Boy, do I know it. Yeah.
Yeah, and in this
Yeah.
world what you got to do. It's like, yep, and the SP work that I
Mhm.
yes, you're like, okay, I'll take that shift because I need some money.
Because money. Yes.
Because money. Yeah, money makes the world go around. And for us artists, that's kind of sucky for a variety of reasons, right?
Yes. Yes, it
um,
is.
any closing words? And like I said, I will put the link in the show notes, and when I promote it on social media, we will promote the heck out of you, Lisa. But anything
Thank you.
else you wanted to say in closing, any perspective or just final words to share with the folks listening?
I will say that if whatever you are believing spiritually, religiously, if that belief isn't making you into someone who is kinder and more curious and more willing to ask questions and seek out answers and connect with people who believe differently than you, it's probably not a belief worth hanging on to. Because if if hell is separation and heaven is togetherness, then on earth we get to choose in which of those we live.
Wow.
That was
That was profound. Holy
that
shit.
was flowery. That was some flowery shit right there. But yeah, I
No,
don't know
I
if heaven or hell is real, but we can choose what earth is like. So choose togetherness and compassion and connection.
No, I think that's a lovely thought. Honestly, it really is. So I love that, and I love your other one. I'm gonna be thinking about this afternoon about it takes more energy to hold something in. I love that. I do love that because
Take
so
that to
many.
the bank.
Yeah, no, seriously, because you think about how people put on facades, or masks, like
It's
I
exhausting.
it's got to be right. You know what I mean? I've done it at times too, but I consider myself pretty real. And as I'm getting older, like with this perimenopause, I'm like, I'm not holding back too much these days.
I don't have
So
the energy for this. I don't have the hormones for this. Yes,
yeah, my hormones are
absolutely.
kind of like, oh hell no, we're not dealing with this crap. Well, thank you so much, Lisa. Folks in the Lehigh Valley area or anywhere near in the driving distance or flying distance, hey, jet across the country if you want to see this. It's
Do
definitely
it.
something to see. Definitely something to see. And I know you'll feel, as Lisa said, humor. You're gonna laugh. There's gonna be tender moments. It's gonna be, I think, the perfect combination of what you want from a show or from anything from life, right? So share it with someone that you care about, someone maybe it'd make a great first date, don't you think, Lisa? They could talk about it afterwards.
Oh, I would love for people to tell their grandchildren about this being their first date someday. What a legacy.
Wouldn't that be cool? Well, I went to this cult show and I was like, let's
Totally insane lady.
but they'll have stuff to talk about afterwards, whether over a drink or coffee or whatever.
Yes. I hope it's the way that many budding couples find love.
they'll be cheering to you, they'll be toasting to Lisa VanArsdale at their wedding. Hey, there are worse things. That would actually be kind of a beautiful tribute, right?
I would take it. Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Lisa. It's lisajoinsacult.com, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I will, of course, like I said, I will put the link, the direct link to the ticket sales in the show notes and on social media when I share this podcast. So I want to thank Lisa. As always, another fantastic conversation with a fabulous woman. That is my goal every week here on Uncorked with Funny Wine Girl. I want to thank you so much. Please check out the show notes as well. I have my Buy Me a Coffee page in there. As Lisa and I talked about the arts, it's it's a struggling life, and money does make the world go around. So if you'd like to help support this podcast, please feel free to throw me $5, $10, 100, whatever you want to invest in this podcast. But remember, even if you can't do that, it's also valuable sharing. Sharing is caring. So share this episode, share any episode that you find interesting, entertaining, whatever. Tell a friend, tell a foe, tell anyone you know, because that's important. Write a review because, us little guys and gals, we need your support. We appreciate your support. And as I always say, I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart and the bottom of my wine glass.